Hello, class. My name is Moses Ike from Georgia Tech, and today I'll be talking about Introduction to Cyber Physical Systems Security. First of all, we're going to identify what we mean by the term cyber physical systems, and then we're going to unpack some of the cybersecurity challenges facing this type of systems and why it is important for us to protect them from cyber attacks because they are critical and important. So let's introduce ourselves to the realm of cyber physical systems. So, cyber physical systems, or CPS, generally describe non traditional systems that perform some physical work in industrial plants. And this type of plants, examples are shown on the screen. You have the power substation, which is where we get our electricity from, that powers our home and our TV. We also have the water treatment plants, which is the systems that processes our water, make sure it's clean, and supply it to our homes. We also have the nuclear plants, which can be used for all sort of things, from like power generation as well as military defense. So these are the type of system we usually refer to as cyber physical system. Now these are factual. Now the terms that I use to describe this type of system differ from our traditional desktop system like your laptops. These systems are called information technology or IT systems. Here we call these cyber physical systems operational technology, just to highlight the fact that they are operational, so OT. Another type of term that is used to describe this type of systems is called industrial control systems, or ICS. And that's because most of what they do are industrial. So if you were asked what examples of cyber physical systems maybe you can give some of these examples. You can say the power substations, the water treatment plants, and the nuclear plants. Now, these type of systems are controlled by cyber, right? Which is why they have their name, cyber physical. So cyber means software. Software has to control them. They have their own behaviors that they do, but software has a role in controlling them. Now, there are two types of software systems that are used to control this type of physical systems, and I'm going to show them on the slides right now. So the first one is called the Supervisory Control and Data Acquisition Systems, or SCADA, and the second one is known as the Programmable Logic Controllers, or PLC. Let's talk about SCADA for a second. So SCADA systems, in the control center of these physical systems, you have the human operators that look at a user interface to figure out what is going on, and sometimes they can interfere with the operation by sending some control. So these are called the supervisory control. They supervise what the physical is doing. The programmable logic controllers, or PLC, these are actually embedded close to the physical systems, and they basically do the input and output. They read a measurement from the physical plants, devices, and they send out output. So this happens all the time. So we're going to deeper into the software systems, which it is where most of the attacks come from, so we can really understand or unpack cyber physical systems. So I have made sure that the images here are clear, so to increase accessibility, so it can be clear for you guys to grab what we're talking about here. Now let's move ahead. So there's this thing called control and cause and effect, and this describes cyber physical systems because the physical systems have to be controlled by the software side, and when you control them, you see they have a physical effect. And this is different from the traditional IT systems that you have, like your desktop computers, because your desktop computers does not have anything that it controls, right? So there's this control input that comes from the software side that results in some physical actuation. That is what this is trying to highlight here. The image on the right hand side just shows an example of a water treatment process, like in your water treatment plants, and showing some of all those physical actuation going on at the tank. Water is rising. You have some valves opening and closing, and the graph I'm showing on the slide just basically just means that there's these behaviors can be tracked, right? So let's talk about the type of controls that is used to control the system. I mentioned this in the previous slide, but just to highlight it in this particular slide. So of the PLCs, like I said, they are embedded in the physical infrastructure, and they control the physical side like very fast, in like 1 to 10 milliseconds. They run a particular type of software called ladder logic, and this is a very fast type of logic. So this is known as basic control. The SCADA side of things, this control, they send out control input to the physical about 1 to 2 seconds, or 1,000 milliseconds. And the kind of work they perform is called a supervisory control. And they are basically use an event handling software. So when something happens, they respond. So let's go ahead and talk about some of the cybersecurity threats, and what that implies. So this is your power grid. It's important. That is where you get your light. That's where everybody gets power in the hospitals and industries, and everything runs on power. So you can imagine if something was to do something bad to it, like to bring it down, you can see some of the catastrophic damages that would happen. So we don't want that, right? So, but this is what the cybersecurity is all about. We have an attacker, adversary that wants to bring it down. So let's see some of the ways that the attacker can bring it down. This is what we call the threat model, the cyber threat model. So from your IT network, which is a cyber side, this is where the attacks are coming from. And there are different ways that attackers could come in through your network. They can use email programs and send you a file to click, and when you click it, you download some malware, and now you have the attacker on your machine. They can come from the network. They can come from different type of files that you download from the internet. So this is what we call the cyber infection. And now the attacker would have to move from the IT network into the OT network, which is where you find the SCADA machines and the PLCs. So this, like I mentioned, the SCADA systems or the SCADA machines they use software. So the attacker from the IT side can infect the SCADA software, and from there, the SCADA software can infect the PLCs, and now the PLCs can infect the power grid, and things might go wrong. So we don't want this because we don't want electricity to go down in your neighborhood. So let's talk about some of the different histories of this type of attack to drive it home, to make you know that this is a real threat that we should be concerned about. In 2010, there was an attack on the Iranian nuclear plant that caused lots of damages, physical damages. This attack was known as Stuxnet. This is very popular among the cybersecurity folks. Any cyber person you meet on a cyber conference, for example, if you mention Stuxnet, they will be happy to have a conversation with you. This is a real attack that happened on a cyber physical system. Another example was in 2016, the Ukrainian power grid was brought down by an attacker, or a particular software, malicious software known as Industroyer. So I think the Ukrainian people lost power, and it took them a while to bring back the power. So we want to find solutions to make sure that this does not happen. This is what this presentation is about, to highlight some of the security challenges of the power grid, so we can find ways to stop it. Now, the most recent attack that is newsworthy happened about 2 years ago during the COVID situation, and this was an attacker that tried to poison the water treatment, water supply of the city of Oldsmar in Florida. So in this situation, actually, because the operators of this plant, they had to work from home. So they have a remote desktop connection to the SCADA machines that control the water treatment processes. So because they work from home, it was easy for an attacker to come into the internet to their computer, hijack their remote connection, and then was able to log into the SCADA machines, and from there they launch attacks on a water treatment test bed, trying to raise the amount of sodium chloride to poison the water. Luckily, once the attacker was moving the mouse to change some of the controls, an operator saw the mouse moving and he was able to stop it. And so luckily the attack did not go forward. But had not the operator seen this, it could have been a catastrophe for the city of Florida. So this highlights that there is a real security challenge for cyber physical systems. And in next class, we will be dealing with different techniques to solve this problem. But let me get a show of hands. Does anybody know any, has heard about any type of, cyber physical system attack? Let's see. Okay, I see two hands. Okay. So next class, we'll be talking about ways we can develop techniques to actually stop these attacks. So our meetings will be on online meetings, and so next week we can discuss more. So this is all I have. If you have any questions later on, you can send me emails. But this is where we stop. So thank you. I'll see you guys next time.